This episode is sponsored by Kalia's Dreams Cosmetics and Marketing. At Kalia's Dreams Cosmetics and Marketing, we provide full vegan lip gloss, and all products are cruelty free, providing today's woman with a little shimmer and hydration. Today on the show, we are excited to welcome Frenchaire Gardner. She's an award winning author, speaker, painter, and a merchandiser. Host of a new youth, I'm sorry, host of a News You Can Use podcast, founder of Be and Us LLC. She will be telling her story today about how she became to be an author. Hey, Frenchaire.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and support our podcast.
Most
So,
definitely.
thank you. So, we will jump right in. So, just go ahead and tell us your story.
Okay, so my name is Frenchaire Gardner, and I am the author of several books. Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore? I wrote the first and second edition. The first edition is a Kindle ebook and unedited, and the second edition is a illustrated paperback book, and it's also available on Kindle. And so Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore is a book about my life, my personal family life. It is a story that kind of goes through the motions of how I ended up my husband, my ex-husband and I, we ended up losing our children, and also they got adopted, and then so now I don't talk to them anymore. I haven't talked to them in over 10 years, and I woke up from a vivid dream, Todd, one day, and in 2019, and one of my peers was telling me that I needed to let my children know that I still love them, that I still care for them, that I miss them. And so I wrote the book in one day. And not only did I write the book in one day, I published it on Amazon that same day, because I was like, if I sit on the story, because it was a lot of people didn't even know I had children. And so I was like, if I sit on this story, I'm not going to publish it. I'm just going to, fear is going to let me, keep me from putting the story out there. So I put the story out there on Kindle in 2019. 2 years later, I collaborated with my good girlfriend, Del Chambers, and she brought my words to life. And so now the book is available as a paperback in the second edition, Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore? And so at this point, I have created the audiobook for the children's book. I have translated the book into Spanish. Okay. And the universal message of Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore? Is to remind anyone, be it children or adults, that their biological parents, even if they experience the foster care or the adoption systems, it's a reminder to let them know that their biological parents still loves them, still cares about them, and is still thinking of them. So that's the first and second editions of Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore?
Wow. That is awesome. I was just sitting here listening, and I'm thinking how your friend just came to you. So when your friend came to you with that, what was your first response? I mean, like,
it was a dream, Todd. I woke up, it was a vivid dream, and it's weird because I usually don't remember my dreams.
Oh, wait a minute. I got it confused then. I thought you said that someone else told you to do it, but you're saying that you dreamed this.
Yes, one of my peers came to me in a dream.
Oh, your peers. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. And so that's how that came about. And so I'm also a co-author of several collaboration books. Mm-hmm. And so the first one project that I was a part of is called Finding Joy in the Journey, Volume 2, which I have right here.
Okay.
Finding Joy in the Journey, Volume 2. Healthy ways to find joy during difficult times. It's a 90-day devotional type. And the presenter of this book, Vanessa Blackwell, she collaborated with 90 different authors. So I am one of 90 authors that wrote a chapter for this #1 Amazon bestseller. And it is a really good book. It's a devotional. And so, you know, all of us goes through trials and tribulations. So everybody, you know, pretty much any and everybody has a voice and experiences to speak to, you know, how they handle difficult times. And so I have a chapter in that book. And then my next project, Todd, was I jumped on this project with Angie B's production, and she started making an audiobook series. And the particular volume that I'm a part of is called The Single Saved Struggle. The Struggle Continues. Ooh. And yes, in that audiobook.
I'm there. That's me.
Okay. Okay.
Single. So and the struggle is real.
The struggles are real, really. And so in that audiobook, 8 authors, including myself, we wrote about our pandemic stories. So it's kind of wild, you know, it's no telling what you're going to get. It's just, you know, how we handled the pandemic. So that was a pretty cool project because it's not written, it's an audiobook.
Right.
Okay. Then the next project that I wrote in is called Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Lessons that Can Change Your Life. So Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Lessons that Can Change Your Life is an international #1 Amazon bestseller. It's 11 international authors from all around the world who just basically express their expertise in business. So this book covers how you can make podcasting a business. Talks about how God is a part of business when you don't think that naturally. My chapter is in regards to the history of Black businesses in America, and I release a lot of the resources that I have gleaned over the course of the 10 or so years that I've been in business. I put it all out there for any business owner. It does not just for Black business owners, but any business owner will find not only my chapter, but the other chapters really helpful. So that's Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Lessons that Can Change Your Life. And lastly, I want to say that's my last book. My last book is an ebook. It's a mini ebook series, and it's called Alani Media put the book out, and it's called The Strategy in Struggle. And so the Strategy and Struggle, 5 women entrepreneurs, we tell our business stories from successes, the struggles, and all the in-between stuff. And so that's a really a deep dive into my business life and the things that I've created over the course of time. And really good book. It's an ebook, so it's a digital book. So I've just been writing for the past few years.
In the midst of that, though, I saw that you are also a painter, which I thought was really fascinating. Just to see that side. It just seems like you have so many hats that you know, or it's like it's just so many things that you've kind of venture out into, which I found very fascinating, you know, and then just kind of like coming together and helping other business women, you know, maneuver through things as well is what I found just really well. Just, I thought was pretty cool.
I
So,
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
right. So I do want to ask, so go back to tell me like what experiences did you experience in terms of like why I know that it came to you in a dream, but how did it just prompt you to know that this is like what you should do? Or what were you experiencing as you were writing it then is what I want to ask.
Sure. So when I wrote Mommy and Daddy, Do You Still Love Me Anymore? I had just moved back to Dallas, Texas, from St. Louis, Missouri. I had lived in St. Louis for almost 10 years. So I was away from home for 10 years, almost. And I was living with my mother and just taking care of her and seeing after her. And really, I just wasn't really doing too much. I just wasn't doing too much, really. Just kind of chilling, kind of getting back acclimated to being in my hometown of Dallas, Texas. And I'll just say this, a little backstory, Todd, is just that I miss my kids, ultimately, I miss my children. I've been away from them for over 10 years. I haven't seen them since November of 2014. So that's almost, 10 years. So it's just, it's been a process over these years to dealing with the separation of me and my 4 children. I miss my children, Joseph Jr., Frenchaire 2, Melchizedek, and Sarai every day, so probably I can't really speak to what was going on, particularly in December 2019, but probably I was just missing them pretty tough. I was in therapy for a time, and what she said, made a lot of sense. I'm grieving. I'm grieving my children. They're not dead, but our relationship of such is dead, and they're not here in my life. And so I go through all of the steps of grieving. And so I would just say that I was in a deep, dive into really missing them at that time when I wrote the book.
Right. Any type of loss of a relationship, you will grieve it when, you no longer have access to, communicate and see and, just be in a person's life. So it's just like, I think it's like you go through all of the experience as you do, as, sometimes people relate it to like a divorce or even death, because it's no longer you're able to, communicate and be with that person. So we go through those same experiences and have to it's disappointment as well, just not being able to, reach out and talk and do those normal things that you would do. So definitely understand that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you seek therapy for it, because that's something that in our community that people, it looks like we're just starting to get on the bandwagon and realize that we need therapy, whether it's, dealing with a situation like that or just healing other traumas that people tend to have. So I am very big on, seeking some type of self-discovery to just figure out, what's going on with yourself. And I think that that's a great thing to, to do, is to always reinvent yourself and figure out the why and why you're experiencing these things and try to do better. So I can just tell from your life and just kind of reading the other things that you have came completely full circle. So whereas you said earlier you just wasn't doing anything, now it's like you're doing so much. It's like, what are you not doing in this moment? So that's
It's
what I
a
was thinking. I was like,
blessing.
huh?
I said it's really a blessing. It's a blessing. I remember moving to St. Louis, Missouri in 2011, having nothing. I was starting over in a new city, knew nobody. And I just remember, just saying, well, I'm just not doing anything. This is not me. I'm a social person. I like to be interactive with people, but this is my time to heal. At some point you have to take the time for yourself to, as you stated, discover yourself, find out all, what's going on, heal, go to therapy, go to counseling. All of that is so needed to, especially when you've gone through traumatic experiences, which I had. And so, yeah, I went from doing nothing, zero, zilch, to like 1,000 things on my plate, books, painting. But I'll tell you, the painting came in St. Louis, and I was kind of just I wasn't really doing much. I was doing the entrepreneur thing. At that time, I owned a property. So like you said, I've done a lot of different things. So I owned a property at that time in St. Louis, and I had tenants and things of that such. And so I was really trying to step out with not having a boss. So I was really doing the full-time entrepreneur thing. And so I needed something to fill my time. And so I've always been an artist. I've been an artist and a creative since I was a little girl. My mom has always had me in some kind of creative outlets, and I've always enjoyed that. From dancing to, I just picked up painting as an adult, but acting, all of that, anything in regards to performing arts, I love it. And so I picked up the painting, probably around 2016, 17, 18, or somewhere around there. And I took a few classes, and I absolutely loved painting. And the painting came so naturally. I can't like draw or anything like that. I'm an abstract painter, as you saw on my website. But I really enjoy it because it's very relaxing. So since I've been through, so much trauma over the course of my life, I constantly need things to relax me, to decompress, to, bring me back to a grounded state. And painting does that for me, Todd. And I'll tell you this shirt that I have on, this is a painting. This is actually one of my paintings, called The First Bloom. And I designed a shirt, and I designed a bunch of merchandise, like you said, a merchandiser, based on my paintings.
Wow, that's amazing. That
Thank you.
And as you were talking too, one of the things that I always feel like, and I always say, is that sometimes your pain can shape you into your purpose.
Ashe.
One of the things that I'm doing now, because I am really shy in nature, but as I am doing this podcast, I have really stepped into my purpose. And it's just amazing, like the people that I am talking to and the things that I am doing, because I do remember at a time where I just felt like my life was just blah. And it was not exciting at all. And so now it's like I feel like I am stepping into a whole nother, realm that I never knew was out there. So, and it's not so much as like some pain, but I started to do the self-discovery, and I realized it was some things that I have some trauma. I still don't know exactly what it is, because I've had a pretty good child life, but I still know it's something there. So I know that in this process, as I'm talking to other people and listening to things, and then I can just say, okay, that's probably why I do such and such. I'll just kind of think of things like that as well. So I always just feel like pain does shift you into a whole new way of thinking and doing.
True.
Which leads me into our next question is, view life now.
Well, definitely, I'm gonna say losing my children was a big, factor in the person who I am now. Mainly because even though they're not my children, or my 4 children are not here with me and not here to witness me and my life, I still desire my life to be a beacon of light, as a guiding light, as an inspiration, as a motivation to them to let them know that they can do anything that's in their heads, they can do it. By leading by example. That's why I've done and created the things that I've created over the years, because I'm not going to be here forever. 2, I need to leave a legacy for my 4 children. 3, I don't know if my good idea is going to work or not, so why not put them out there? That's the way I live. So, but another thing that really changed my life and has me the way I am today is my sister died. My older sister died the same year that I moved to St. Louis, in 2011. And so like 6 months later, after I relocated, my only sister died. And she was only 42. Like, I'm 42 today. I'm 42 today. I'll be 43 tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. But she died the same age I am today, 10 years ago. And that changed my life because I didn't get to talk to her before she died. My mother was there at the hospital with her. I had the opportunity to talk to her, but I chose not to. And so all of that, her death really left me in a place where it is that I have to live like what's that song? Living my life like it's golden, and the other one is living my best life. That's the song I want. Living my best life, because you just don't know when your time is over. Like, I used to sell insurance. I used to sell life insurance, and it was pretty integral to have that message. But when my sister left me, it really it was so impactful. It just made me aware that I can't just live lackadaisical or be complacent with life. I had to create goals and purposes and figure out why I'm here so that I can get busy, because I don't know when my time is going to be. You don't know when your time is going to be. So it's integral. It's not even just important. It's integral and essential that before we drop off this planet, that we get to our purposes, because there's so many people that we personally are supposed to touch and impact. Right. And so that's what her death really signified for me, is that I needed to get busy on whatever it was that my ancestors had placed me here for. I needed to get busy on that.
Absolutely. And that's a good way to be, because I always say that too. I have kids too, and I do want to leave something for my kids, and I just want to be the best that I can be. And yes. I just kind of can remember some things in my life where I just feel like it has to be more to life than what I'm doing here, and so now it's about just stepping out of my comfort zone. I was talking to someone yesterday. She has a business where she do shea butter, and I told her that, and she has a really good product. And so I just told her, I said, you got to make sure that everybody that you come in contact, that you tell them about your shea butter. I say, you just have to, go out into the world and just do things that you normally wouldn't do, because the time is now to do whatever, because you have a good product. So it's just about, being confident and understanding who you are and just wanting to do more.
Yes.
My dog is having a little fest there. Also, one of the things that I wanted to ask too is that since since your kids are not with you, like, what advice or what would you say to a person who didn't know their parent at all? At least you had a chance to know your children and stuff like that. But what would you say to the listeners out there who never knew their parents? Since you wrote a book, what would be your advice to that person?
Stay encouraged. Stay encouraged, because they even though you don't know your parents, they're still thinking about you. They still are aware of you, and they miss you. And do your due diligence. Do your due diligence to find them. If you can. That's exactly what I would say. That be encouraged, because it's been many a days. I wonder where they are, what they doing, my children. But they don't know it. They don't know that. So that's why I wrote the book, right? But I want them to know that their biological parents are, as a biological parent who's missing their kids, know that your parents are missing you, still love you, still thinking about you, and you should do whatever you can to find them if you can, or at least find some relatives. I said, because Ancestry.com, and I'm not like they're not sponsoring me or anything like that, but I did the DNA test with them, and that connected me with a few relatives that I never had met before, that we blood, like they kin to my aunt, my grand auntie, that type deal. So it's like, wow. So these DNA tests can be a source to helping you find your parents, but there are different resources. You just gotta be able, you gotta look for it.
I absolutely love Ancestry. That is one of the things that I do, is that I'm actually a family reunion planner for my family. So I go back, and yes, I love that. Like, that is just so calming. So as you started to paint, I can literally be on Ancestry, and to me that is fun. And to other people, it may not be, but for me and one of my cousins, Lakeisha, she loves it too. So we actually kind of do it together. Some nights we'll be up 1 o'clock in the morning, and she'll be asking me names of people, like, where's this person? And do you know about this person? And I'm just like, okay, you looking at your stuff, I'm not looking at mine. Wait just a second. But yeah, I love Ancestry. That's just a very good tool. And I love just looking up history about, our forefathers. And I've gained a lot of information. I actually went back to 1805.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. And, but then I hit a brick wall. So I'm there, but hopefully I'll break through the brick wall one day. But yeah, Ancestry is awesome. I love it.
It is. Like I said, I found people on my mama and my daddy's side. And it's a lot of history on my mom's side. So I was able to kind of dive deep, where just asking like my grandmother, like, she might have some blanks, but I got found a lot on Ancestry. So I feel you.
Yeah, Ancestry is a very good tool. All right. So tell me about your, what is that? Tell me about your LLC that you have.
So BNS LLC, I started BNS LLC back in 2017. Just wanting the business. I was like, man, I need to get on this business thing, man. What is this? I need to get this entrepreneur thing popping, And so
right.
I was talking to an ex. We were having conversations about if we had a t-shirt line, what would be the name of our brand? So my brand, I decided my brand was going to be B, like just be you. And then he said his line would have been us. So whenever time passed, and I decided to create the LLC in Missouri, and I remember went back to that conversation and put those two words together, B and us LLC. And I said I did that because essentially the meaning and the mission is, if you just be your best self and put us all together, we work together, because teamwork makes the dreams work. We can do a lot of things. You can get your goals accomplished. I can get mine accomplished as well. And that's what that is cooperative economics, which is Ujamaa, one of the Kwanzaa principles. So I basically put all that together and created the business. When I first started the business, I didn't have no products. I didn't have nothing. I was just, gonna make it up as, basically whatever I sell, that's gonna be under the brand. And that's essentially what I did over the years. I created went to a lecture in St. Louis, right? It was a Kaba Kamini, or AKA Booker T. Washington. And he was giving out ideas. This was during the time Michael Brown Jr. had got murdered in Ferguson. And so he was telling us about ideas of ways to protest. And he's like, it's more ways to protest than just getting out on the lines and marching. And so one of his ideas was, y'all can march to your local Black business and everybody pledged to spend $25. I was like, that's brilliant. And I did it. Right. And so I created an event called the Ujamaa the Ujamaa Group Economics March. And we marched from I'm going too fast. Pomoja Academy, which is the only Pan-African public school in St. Louis City. We marched from there to Progressive Emporium and Education Center, which is a Black co-op in St. Louis. And they're mainly a bookstore, but they sell everything. It's a grocery store. If you're Black owned, if you're a Black business and you have products, more than likely your products can be sold there. And so you have all assortment of all different kinds of things there. And so about 40 to 50 people participated in the march on that day. We raised about $700 in capital. That's good. For the business on that particular day. And then I made some t-shirts to sell and things like that. So I went from that. Then I started, like you talking about shea butter, I started selling shea butter too. So I was a guy from Houston, shipped me some shea butter pounds. I'm talking about 200 pounds of shea butter, raw shea butter. Wow. And I didn't know what to do with it, but I was gonna figure it out. And so I started manufacturing shea butter, packaging it, selling it out. It was in different stores and everything. And so the business is the brand BNS LLC is just really where is my creative outlet. Okay. Essentially. I even use BNS LLC to publish my children's book, I as a publisher. So, gotcha. Just trying to get the name out there, push, that I'm, about us, that's essentially what it's about. Because let me also interject that part of my plan was, and what I did was I also sold other people's products. Okay. So if you was a black brand and you wanted to get into another market that you necessarily like, maybe don't go to this part of town, or or you don't deal with these particular people. I was going to different community events and I was set up and I had my products, I had your products, and I had several people's products selling. So I had a multitude of things. I was selling Amber Bookstore books. So I had books on stands. I had artwork from Dell Chambers, my illustrator. She also is an herbalist. So I would have herbal salt baths and lavender, like the actual herbs, Palo Santo sage. She into that crystals and those sort of things. So I had an assortment of things that I was selling, and we were selling it online as well. And so that's what came out of it. And I guess the podcast came out of that.
That's what I was going to ask you next. So yeah, tell me about your podcast.
Yes, ma'am. So I was doing the entrepreneur thing and in St. Louis. And this what is it called? Co-working space. They had a free working, they had to come in and get your free co-working experience. So try them out for a week. So I was all right, I'm working from home. Maybe I could be more productive if I'm not at home. So I tried the co-working space for a week and met some nice entrepreneurs and things. But they had classes in the evening. It's called the name is eluding me right now, but they had evening business classes. And so one of the classes was on podcasting. This was in 2019. So one of the classes in podcasts, I went, and it was about 14 of us showed up for the event. And like one of the first things they asked, I was so embarrassed. One of the first things they asked was, "What's the name of your podcast and what's it about?" But I didn't have a podcast, Todd. I was just there because I was kind of trying to get the information.
Right.
Because my like years before, my girlfriend, one of my good girlfriends, she had told me you should be a podcaster on YouTube and show yourself as an expert in insurance. Because I was trying to figure out how I could get more insurance clients back in the day. Mm-hmm. So that's how podcasting even had came to my head in the first place. So she was talking about it. So I had to make up something on the fly. So I did. And so what I made up was News You Can Use Podcasts. And the mission is to promote everything good going on in the Black entrepreneur space, basically. Because mainstream media is not really putting out the good stories about how Black businesses are impacting communities, because we doing big things in communities. We just don't hear about it, you know? So that's where it started. And they said, okay, cool. We gonna give everybody a free day in our podcasting studio to record their podcast. So I went home my phone says a fall. I went home that night and wrote up. So I stayed up all night, writing. Well, I'm gonna sell my first episode of News You Can Use podcast. Oh, and I used that name, Todd, because I was using at the time. I was using the hashtag News You Can Use, because I was the kind of person, I was getting a lot of resources and information. I was disseminating. I wasn't just sitting on the information. Right. I was disseminating it to the communities. And I believe in that, sharing information. Yeah. Right. Because, if I can't use information, that doesn't mean somebody I know can't use it. Absolutely. Right. So I was sharing the information using the hashtag News You Can Use on all my social media. And so that's where that even came about. And recorded my first episode January 2019. Now we're 4 seasons in. I honestly haven't been recording that much like this year or in the last year or two. I haven't been recording that much, but over 5,000 downloads, over 30 countries listening. I'm just grateful. Like my little on the fly idea then turned into, I done interviewed over 75 black and brown entrepreneurs. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. And it streams everywhere. It's everywhere. Wherever you listen to your podcast.
That is super awesome. That is really awesome. All right. Okay. Let's see. So now it's time for our gratitude moment. On each show, I like to talk about, just a statement that I share. So as always, I like to share each episode, my gratitude moment. And I'm thankful for purpose, because in this season, I am really living in my purpose, and I am touching people around the world and, interviewing people around the world who has great stories like you have. And I'm glad that God is entrusting me to, to hear these stories and to use my platform to get the people that I'm coming in contact with stories out there. So I'm thankful for that.
Yes.
So do you have a gratitude statement?
Yes, I am grateful for abundance. I'm grateful for the fact that when times seem like the impossible can't happen, it does. Right. So I'm grateful for abundance and for opportunities and doors being open, because as an author, that's all you need is an opportunity. You're looking for the open doors of opportunities, and you're hoping for abundance. You're hoping that abundant amount of people will find your book interesting and interesting enough to buy it.
Absolutely.
So I am definitely grateful for abundance and for doors being opened.
That's awesome. And you definitely have to network. So that is just wonderful. Well, I have enjoyed our time together, and I want
Yes.
to thank you for sharing your story. I hope that this conversation encourages personal growth by discovering the why behind the work of extraordinary minds. I challenge all our listeners to explore self discovery. It is a great tool to begin healing and develop personal growth. So, Frenchaire, tell the listeners how they can support you and follow you on social media.
Yes, ma'am. Todd, I want to thank you so much for having me again on your show. It's been a great time talking with you. And listeners, I am available on my website. I just got the domain. Woo. So Frenchaire.com. That's my first name. FRENCHAIRE.com. Go ahead and leave your contact information so we can stay in touch with you, and you can shop my books on there. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook under my first and last name, Frenchaire Gardner. So last name Gardner. So Frenchaire Gardner on Instagram and Facebook. On TikTok, just by my first name, is French Air. And my books are available on Amazon, on barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com. Basically, if you Google Frenchaire Gardner, you'll probably see my books. Links show up. Also, I got a link tree. It's linktr.ee/FrenchAirG. And I am just grateful for you. Go ahead and connect with me. I'm mostly on Instagram, so Frenchaire Gardner.
All right. And you can follow me on Facebook and TikTok as Todd Carter, on Instagram as Ivy Todd 10. You can also follow and go out there, click subscribe, download, share my YouTube channel. This brings us to the end of this episode. Until next time, this is the one and only Todd Carter, a podcast that reveals how extraordinary people get shaped by their purpose. Do you know what your purpose is? Go and discover your purpose in life. Goodbye, y'all.